So Vietnam is an incredibly unique place. The first thing that stood out to me was the food. And it's hard for anything else to stand out at first because the food is just that phenomenal. And I realized quickly that Vietnam was a country of food. But if I only focused on the food, that wouldn't cover it. The people and the places are just as beautiful as the food itself. So I went to Vietnam for 3 weeks in 2018, from the beginning of July until maybe 3 weeks into July. And it was an unforgettable experience. We stayed in Ho Chi Minh, and we also went to Ha Long Bay up in northern Vietnam near Hanoi for a couple days to see Ha Long Bay. and we also went to the Mekong River, and we went to the Cu Chi tunnels. Ho Chi Minh was an incredible city. People say that it's the future of Vietnam, and I can see why. It's very developed, it's very modern. It seems like there's a lot of money there. It's a great bustling city with a lot of culture, a lot of great food, a lot of great things to do. So like you have two sides to the city. You have like the very modern side with the skyscrapers, and then you have like, you know, the street foods, the markets. You have the street food. You have like the vendors on the side of the streets, and the smaller buildings with their family restaurants and the people sitting out on the stools. And Vietnam, if I have to commend them more than anything, it's that feeling of community. People like to hang out together. They like to be sitting down on the stools, drinking some drinks at the end of the day after work. They like to, in the mornings, you know, have little marketplaces. They're selling things. And it seems like everyone knows each other, and it seems like a really awesome community. Their attitude towards Americans is actually quite nice. Like, I asked one of the travel guides, one of the travel guides asked me, he was like, how do you feel that people react to you as an American? And I was like, well, I felt fine. You know, a lot of people have been smiling at me. And he said, yeah, it's true. A lot of people in Ho Chi Minh are, you know, they like Americans. He said that it's our neighbors to the north that we don't like so much. I think he was referring to the Chinese. Just knowing Ho Chi Minh, I felt very welcomed, and I saw a lot of other Americans and Europeans walking the street, so everything felt fine. One thing you need to understand is the English barrier. When you walk into any store or restaurant, things like that, most of the time people can sort of relatively understand what you're trying to say, but if you talk to anyone on the street, or if you try to like have a conversation with anyone who's older, you're not going to be able to understand each other. They don't really speak English that well compared to the Philippines. And that's okay. I'm just trying to be accurate here. But what's cool is if you go to some parks in Ho Chi Minh and you sit in the public parks, you'll have kids come up to you and try to practice their English with you. Vietnam is pretty westernized. I think that for the most part, you know, you'll see a lot of McDonald's, Burger Kings, you'll see KFC. There's also a lot of like delivery systems. Like you can get food delivered to your place from pretty much anywhere. That's something that is a part of Southeast Asia that I haven't really seen in America. Like I can get McDonald's delivered to my house. I don't know if you can do that in America. Vietnam is sort of different from the Philippines and Bali, the two other places that I've been to in Southeast Asia. The Philippines is very welcoming. The people are very welcoming. You can have a conversation with anybody. It's pretty easy to get around. But in Vietnam, it was just a little bit different. The people felt a little more standoffish. The younger people felt very cordial and very nice, and it felt different, but the older generation, they felt a little standoffish. Not hostile, not mean, just a little standoffish, but they were still respectful. And everyone is super respectful there in Vietnam. Like when you're handing someone money, you should hand them your money with two hands, because if you hand them just with your left hand, that's disrespectful. So respect is a very big part of their culture there. So everyone's pretty respectful. Okay, so a visa for Americans, if you're trying to go there as an American, you have to get a special visa. You can get it online if you want to. You can pay a fee. It'll arrive like 4 days later. It's all you have to do. And it's a digital copy, so you can just print it out. You can present it to that person while you're walking through immigration, and then you can enter it into the country. It's actually not that hard to get a visa to go into Vietnam as an American. Okay, so like one thing that I saw from Vietnam that's really cool is I think they're working on their tourism a lot. I think they're trying to attract more people to visit Vietnam, which I think is a great move. When we went out to Ha Long Bay, we were driving around on the scooter and we saw a lot of construction occurring. Building resorts, building, I think it was a theme park. And I saw a lot of construction elsewhere as well in Ho Chi Minh. And I really do think that Vietnam is making more of an effort to attract more tourists because they know that that's how they can make a pretty good bit of money, you know, moving forward. The beauty of Vietnam is spectacular, and we did not even scratch the surface. You know, we went to the Cu Chi tunnels to see some historical things. We went to the Mekong River, that was beautiful. You know, we saw some of the beauty in the countryside of Vietnam, not to mention Ha Long Bay, Cat Ba Island. These places look just like Thailand. I've never seen anything like it before. One other thing, the food. How can I not talk about the food? These people have aced the food. There's no other place in the world that you can get food quite like this. The noodles, the the pho, obviously, it's world renowned. There's restaurants all over the world that serve pho, and there's a reason why, because it is beautiful. And Gordon Ramsay actually said in MasterChef, I don't forget which season it was, that he was served pho from a Vietnamese lady floating on the Mekong River. And he said that that was the best dish he has ever tasted in his life. In Vietnam, from a lady on a boat on the Mekong River, a random lady, not from a 5-star restaurant, from a lady on a boat in the Mekong River. They really understand what makes a great dish. They understand how to make great pho, great soup, and they have mastered this amazing recipe that has since multiplied throughout the earth in restaurants and chains and things like that. So the food is wonderful. Make sure to try pretty much everything you can get your hands on. Hope you guys visit Vietnam. Don't be scared. Those were my first impressions of the place, and that's what living in Vietnam is like. I can't wait until the day that I go back. I will go back very, very soon. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm out.